my name is Brynlee Greenwald, and I'm talking about how social media impacts our mental health today. So I just want you all to imagine you're sitting in your bed and you're just scrolling on Instagram, TikTok, or Snapchat, just mindlessly scrolling in the middle of the day, and then all of a sudden it's nighttime, and you're wondering where your day has gone. We've all done this, right? I notice when I'm on my phone and I start scrolling, I think it's been like 10 minutes, and I actually look at the time, it's actually been a couple of hours. And a bunch of people do this. We end up not realizing how much time has passed, and we end up missing so much important things in our lives because of it. Some people end up getting these things called phantom texts. They will feel their phone vibrate, and they pull out their phone and they didn't get a notification. Or some people won't even have their phones near them, and they'll still feel these vibrations, and they'll look, and they actually don't even have their phone. Next slide, please. The average person spends around 4 hours each day on social media. On these 4 hours, we're missing so much stuff that's happening around us. There could be many important events that's happening, or family reunions, or anything that's happening. Next slide, please. Women spend about 2.08 hours a day, while men spend around 1.81 hours a day just on their phones. They are just scrolling, and they don't know what's happening around the world around them. And they could have chores or something to do, and they just end up scrolling and get sucked in. Next bullet point, please. 55% of women are addicted to social media. For men, it is about 60%. When they get addicted, this is when they cannot stop thinking about social media, or their phones, and they're just constantly on it. Next slide, please. 70% of teens and young adults are addicted, just in the US. So whenever I'm in a room and I look around, I always see at least 5 people on their phones just scrolling, just either texting a person or calling a person or just scrolling on Instagram or something. But I always see people on their phones, and instead of just living in the moment. Next slide, please. When people are on social media, their depression and anxiety rises. They even have suicidal thoughts and maybe even pursue those suicidal things. On social media, there ends up being cyberbullying, and since people have this mask behind the social media where they don't know who they are, they just end up bullying anybody that they want. Next slide, please. I really like this picture because it shows how sucked in people get. They end up posting for the followers, the likes, the shares. They end up comparing themselves to other people, and they're like, oh, why am I not getting as much likes as them? Why am I not getting as much followers? They end up comparing themselves more and more, and they start making their lives and their thought processes more down, and they end up getting more sad. Next slide, please. Teens ages 12 through 15 have twice the risk of being depressed when on social media for over 3 hours. I've noticed when I see kids with social media or phones, I notice they have way more anger or sad. They're just way more emotional than they were before they had phones. I'm seeing 12 to 15-year-olds have phones out, and phones, iPods, iPads, and they're just constantly playing games on it and stuff. Next bullet point, please. 56 Americans aged 18 through 29 experience anxiety when they are not able to check their social media. I've noticed this one. I'm at my cheer practice, and after practice ends, everyone just immediately goes to their phones and checks what's happening, what they missed. I've noticed when we don't have our social media, we experience FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. And we always are wondering what's going on in the world around us and what we have missed and everything. Next bullet point, please. Around 77% of teens in the US feel lonely when they cannot check their social media. Most people connect over social media with other people. They'll see a video that they like, and they'll comment, and they'll find other people that like this video. And they end up finding friends over social media and stuff. But when they're not on it, they feel lonely and feel like they can't connect to other people. Next slide, please. Many teens and adults can't go 30 minutes without being on their phones. I notice we're just sitting around, and I always have to pull out my phone Or when we're sitting in a public setting, I notice at least one person has to pull out their phones. And a lot of people like that always have to be like, oh, I got a notification, what is it? Or did I get a text or anything like that? They're always just wondering what's going on. Next slide, please. About 10% of the world is actually addicted to social media. When people are actually addicted, they can't stop thinking about it. They're always on it. They just can't live their lives without being on social media because they feel like they need it. Next bullet point, please. Here are all my resources. Anyways, and I would just like to say that, in conclusion, social media has a huge impact on our mental health, even if we don't even feel like it does. It makes us feel more depressed, it rises our anxiety, and we feel like we can't go throughout our lives.